Emily Roberts sat across from Mr. Collins in the rental office, a completed apartment application between them.
Your SSDI records show consistent deposits, but there's a problem. They're going into an account you don't seem to list.
He turned the monitor. The screen displayed 8 months of electronic deposits, every one routed to an account ending in 8,342.
That's not my account. There's been a mistake. My checks go to my personal checking.
The name on the receiving account is Linda Roberts. Is that your mother? The SSA has her listed as your representative payee.
Emily's hands went still. She had never authorized a representative payee. The air in the small office felt thinner.
She's been cashing them, every single one, for 8 months.
I am sorry, but without verified income going into your account, I can't approve the lease. You'll need to sort this out with the SSA.
Mr. Collins printed the deposit summary and slid it across the desk. Emily took it without another word and walked out into the blinding afternoon. She drove home, gripping the steering wheel, the printout crumpled on the passenger seat, the numbers burning in her mind. Emily stormed through the front door of her mother's house, the deposit printout shaking in her hand.
Mom, we need to talk, right now.
Emily, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost.
She sat up on the couch, smoothing her cardigan, the very picture of maternal innocence.
The SSA says, you've been cashing my disability checks into an account I never approved.
Oh, honey, that's the joint account I told you about. I set it up to help while you were recovering. It's meant to keep your money safe.
Safe? I haven't had access to $1. I couldn't even qualify for a lease. Show me the statements.
Linda opened her laptop, navigating to the joint account. The balance was pitiful, barely a few $100s.
A $3,000 cash withdrawal last month. That's not bills. That's something else.
Emily stared at the screen, her chest tightening. She had no proof of theft yet, but every instinct screamed that her mother was lying. Without another word, she stood and walked to her room. In her bedroom, Emily sat on the edge of the bed and dialed the Social Security Administration. The automated voice asked for her claim number, date of birth, mother's maiden name. She answered each prompt with military precision.
I am trying to confirm the status of my SSDI payments. The leasing office said my money is going to a representative payee, but I never set that up.
The representative clicked through the file, then asked Emily to verify her mother's full name.
Linda Roberts. Yes, that's my mother, but I didn't name her as any kind of payee.
The representative confirmed that, according to SSA records, Linda Roberts had been acting as Emily's representative payee for the past 8 months.
8 months. She planned this. She waited until I was too banged up to question it.
The representative asked if Emily wanted to file a dispute, but warned that it would trigger a full review.
A full review. That would mean accusing my own mother of fraud.
Emily thanked the representative and hung up. The phone screen dimmed and she sat there, staring at nothing. Emily walked out of her bedroom, phone still in hand, and found Linda in the living room, pretending to sort mail.
I just got off the phone with the SSA. They confirmed you are listed as my representative payee, without my consent.
I was only trying to protect you. You were hurt. You couldn't handle everything.
You hid the account. You never gave me access. That's not protection. That's theft.
I sacrificed for you. I gave up my time, my home, and this is how you repay me.
This isn't about sacrifice. It's about 8 months of stolen checks.
Emily turned away, her jaw set. She walked back to her room and closed the door.
If I don't do this, she'll never stop. She'll keep taking.
She picked up her phone again, this time dialing the fraud hotline. As the call connected, she stood by the window, the evening light hardening her profile. 2 weeks later, Emily's phone buzzed with an unfamiliar federal government number.
Miss Roberts, this is Agent Davis, Social Security Office of Inspector General. I am calling about your fraud report.
They agreed to meet at a small SSA field office the next morning.
Representative payee fraud isn't uncommon, but the amount here is significant. We take this seriously.
I spent 8 months thinking I was saving for my own place. The whole time she was spending it.
We'll pull the endorsed checks, trace the deposit pattern. If she signed them and they landed in her account, that's a paper trail that doesn't lie.
What happens once you find that? Is it a crime?
Yes. Redirecting federal benefits is wire fraud, and if there's forgery involved, it escalates to felony charges.
Emily signed the formal complaint. Her hand steady despite the tremor in her chest. She walked out of the office under the harsh midday sun, knowing the machinery of a federal audit had started turning. A week later, Agent Davis called Emily back. On the conference table, enlarged images of canceled checks lay side by side.
The handwriting analyst confirmed it. The slant, the pressure, every signature matches your mother's.
She signed everyone? For 8 months?
Emily traced the loops of her mother's penmanship, the same cursive that had signed her school permission slips.
We also pulled the deposit pattern. Each check landed in her joint account within a day of clearance.
She didn't even wait a week. The money just disappeared.
This isn't a misunderstanding. It's textbook wire fraud. The evidence is overwhelming.
Emily's hands pressed flat on the table. She had wanted to be wrong, but the proof left no room for doubt.
No more doubt. She's known exactly what she was doing since the day I came home.
We'll need to interview your brother, Joshua. Bank records show transfers to his account as well.
Emily returned to her mother's house, the handwriting analysis burning a hole in her bag. She found Linda in the living room, flicking through a catalog.
They matched your handwriting. Every single check you endorsed. You can't tell me that was for my safety.
I was just holding the money for you in our family account. You know how hard it is to manage finances after an injury.
Holding it? The balance is 0. Where did $40,000 go?
There were household expenses, and your brother needed help with his bachelor party in Cabo. It was just a small loan.
Joshua, my disability money paid for his party in Mexico.
Linda's hand flew to her mouth. She had said too much.
Did he know where the money came from? Did you tell him it was my disability?
I didn't mean. It's not what you think. I'll pay it back.
Emily didn't answer. She simply turned and walked out of the room, her mother's desperate calls echoing behind her. 2 days later, Agent Davis sat across from Joshua Roberts in his own apartment, a federal tablet on the coffee table between them.
Mr. Roberts, your bank records show an $8,000 transfer from your mother's joint account to yours, marked Cabo expenses. What was that for?
That was a loan. She helped me out for my bachelor party. What's the big deal?
Agent Davis slid a printed bank statement across the table, the SSA logo visible at the top.
That joint account held your sister's SSDI benefits. Money you knew she received because of a service injury.
Look, I didn't know the details. Mom said it was family money. She told me Emily was fine with it.
Davis let the silence stretch. Joshua's eyes darted to the door, then back.
You spent $11,000 on a beach resort, while your sister couldn't afford an apartment. That's not a loan, that's theft.
I didn't steal anything. Mom handles all that. If she did something wrong, that's on her.
Davis made a note. Regardless of what he admitted, his name was now firmly in the case file. That evening, Linda set the table with a deliberate warmth, lighting 2 candles and opening a bottle of wine.
I made your favorite. Let's just sit and talk, like we used to.
Emily sat across from her mother, but her posture was rigid, arms crossed.
Everything I did for this family. I only wanted to protect you.
Then explain the new patio set. $3,000, while I can't buy my own groceries.
That was an investment. I thought it would make the house nicer for you.
Stealing from a disabled veteran isn't a mistake. It's a crime. You planned this.
Linda's expression froze, the practiced warmth draining. For a split second, something cold flickered in her eyes.
She's never going to be honest. Not now, not ever.
Emily pushed her plate away and stood. The dinner was over before it had really begun. Later that night, Emily's phone buzzed on the nightstand. The caller ID read SSA OIG.
Agent Davis. What now?
We found something in the original payee application, a document your mother filed 2 years ago.
A guardianship petition. It claimed Emily was incapacitated and unable to manage her own affairs. The date was 6 weeks into Emily's deployment to Afghanistan. She had been a combat medic on active duty.
I was in a war zone. I was perfectly fit. How could she do this while I was overseas?
The signature is forged. Our analyst confirmed it matches your mother's handwriting. This was premeditated fraud.
Emily's knuckles whitened around the phone. The theft hadn't started when she was injured. It started when she was serving.
She planned this for 2 years. 2 years of pretending to be my mother.
Agent Davis said the petition changed everything. The case was now a federal forgery investigation. There would be charges. The next morning, Emily found her mother on the living room sofa, nursing a cup of coffee. She dropped the printed guardianship petition onto the coffee table.
You filed this 2 years ago, while I was deployed. You claimed I was incapacitated.
That's not. I didn't. Emily, you don't understand.
The signature is yours. The analyst confirmed it. You planned this before I even came home.
I just needed the money. Don't you get that? I thought you'd be fine. You are so strong, you wouldn't even miss it.
You stole from me when I couldn't walk. You forged a court document while I was wearing a uniform. This isn't about need. It's about control.
Linda's tears stopped as quickly as they had started. Her expression shifted into something defensive and cold.
You are not sorry you did it. You are sorry you got caught. This isn't a mother. This is a thief who happens to share my blood.
She folded the petition and placed it in her file of evidence. The last bridge between them had burned to ash. Later that afternoon, Joshua appeared in the hallway, leaning against the wall like he owned every room he stepped into.
Look, I know it looks bad, but it's family, right? You can't just let the feds tear everything apart.
You partied on my disability checks in Cabo. $11,000. And you want me to protect you?
I didn't know the details. Mom just gave me the money. She said it was from her savings.
You knew it was my SSDI. You saw the account transfers. You just didn't want to ask questions.
Okay, fine. I kinda knew. But Mom said you'd be fine with it. She said it was temporary.
Temporary? 8 months of temporary while I couldn't walk. You spent it on cocktails and beach chairs.
So what? You were gonna let them charge Mom, charge me, over money?
It's not over money. It's over theft. And you both knew exactly what you were doing.
Emily walked away, leaving him stranded in the hallway with nothing but his own reflection. She didn't look back. Emily stepped into the living room, where Linda sat rigid on the sofa, an envelope and a folded deed in her lap.
I can fix everything. Drop the investigation, and I'll sign over the house. I'll pay back every cent you lost.
She slid a cashier's check across the coffee table. The amount matched the missing benefits down to the dollar.
You think I can just take this and pretend none of it happened?
I am giving you what you wanted. No charges, no mess. Isn't that easier for everyone?
For a moment, Emily didn't move. The check sat there, a clean exit from the wreckage of the last 2 months.
She's still trying to buy her way out. No apology, just a transaction.
Emily picked up her phone and called Agent Davis. She needed to understand what a private deal would mean.
If you accept, the audit stops, but she faces no federal consequences. She could do this again to someone else's child.
Emily thanked her and ended the call. The check still lay on the coffee table, heavy with unspoken consequence. She needed time to think. Emily retreated to her bedroom and stood at the window, the city lights blurring through the glass.
If I take the money, she does this again. Some other soldier, some other daughter.
She thought of the men and women she had served with, the ones who came home broken and trusting the system to catch them. She picked up her phone and dialed Agent Davis. The call connected on the second ring.
Agent Davis, I can't take her deal. She doesn't get to buy her way out of this.
That's the right call, Miss Roberts. The system needs people willing to hold fraud accountable.
Emily felt a strange lightness, as if a weight she hadn't known she was carrying had lifted.
She'll hate me. Joshua will hate me. But I can live with that. I can live with the truth.
The audit will reach its conclusion. You've done everything right.
Emily ended the call and stood at the window a moment longer. The path ahead was steep, but it was finally hers. Within the hour, Linda burst through Emily's bedroom door, her face twisted with fury.
You selfish girl. After everything I did for you, You are going to let them arrest me?
You did this to yourself. I am not letting you blame me.
Joshua appeared behind Linda, his voice raised.
You are ruining everyone's lives over a few dollars.
It's $19,000, Josh. And it was mine.
Emily turned her back on them and pulled her duffel bag from the closet. She packed methodically, her hands steady as Linda's tirade continued in the hallway.
I'll be gone the day this case ends. Until then, I am staying with a friend.
She shouldered the bag, walked past them without a word, and left the house to the sound of her mother's screamed insults. Emily spent the night at a friend's place. The next morning, her phone rang with the familiar federal number.
The report is leaving my desk, Emily. The OIG is recommending charges.
What charges?
Wire fraud, forgery, theft of federal benefits. The audit will close formally next week.
Emily exhaled slowly. The machinery she had set in motion was reaching its final gear.
It's really happening. No more waiting.
Later that day, she toured a small one-bedroom apartment across town, its empty walls echoing with possibility. She signed the lease with steady hands, her first home, free of her mother's shadow. Standing in the empty living room, she could picture her own things: a chair, a lamp, the quiet she had earned.
This is mine. No one can take it.
Emily returned to her mother's house that evening, heading straight for her bedroom to gather the last of her things. Linda appeared in the doorway, her eyes red-rimmed but dry, her hands clasped tightly.
Emily, please. I am sorry. I never meant for it to get this far.
If you were sorry, you would have stopped before you started.
For a second, Linda's expression held, then it hardened, the tears vanishing. Emily zipped her suitcase closed, the sound sharp in the quiet room. She walked to the kitchen, Linda trailing behind in stunned silence. Emily placed her house key on the counter, next to a pile of unopened mail. Without a word, she picked up her suitcase and walked out the front door into the cooling night.
Tomorrow, it's over. She can't touch me again.
The next morning, Emily sat in the rear row of the federal courtroom, Agent Davis beside her. Linda stood at the defendant's table, her attorney's hand hovering near her elbow. The judge read the terms of the plea: 14 months probation, full restitution of $19,840, and a permanent bar from acting as anyone's representative payee.
No jail time, but she'll never be able to do this to someone else.
Linda wept into her hands, her shoulders shaking with sobs that echoed in the wood-paneled room. Emily felt no satisfaction, only a clean, bone-deep relief.
The audit is officially closed, Emily. Your SSDI will be paid directly to your personal account starting next month.
Emily held the formal closure letter, the SSA seal sharp and final beneath her fingertips.
8 months of theft, and it's over. The system actually worked.
She walked out of the courthouse alone, the letter folded in her pocket, into a future that was finally hers. That same morning, in a smaller courtroom down the hall, a civil judgment was entered against Joshua. He was ordered to repay $11,200, the total funneled from Emily's SSDI into his Cabo trip and other luxuries.
You can't run from this one, Josh.
When the gavel fell, Joshua stormed through the double doors and into the hallway, his footsteps hard on the marble.
You are a soulless robot, Emily. No heart, no family, just a machine.
Emily didn't stop. She didn't answer. Her reflection slid over the polished stone floors, silent and unbroken.
I said, look at me.
Emily pushed through the courthouse exit, the heavy door swinging shut behind her.
He still thinks this is about him. It never was.
She walked to her car, the courthouse fading in the rearview mirror, along with the last voices of her old life. She pulled into the driveway of her mother's house. The trunk was already half packed from the night before. Inside the foyer, a single cardboard box waited, a few books, her discharge papers, her knee brace. She carried it to the car without a glance toward the living room where she'd first confronted her mother. Through the front window, Linda stood frozen, one hand pressed to the glass, her face crumpled with silent tears.
She's waiting for me to break. She doesn't understand that I already have.
Emily shut the trunk and slid into the driver's seat. She didn't wave. She didn't look back. She pulled out of the driveway and onto the street. The house shrank in the rearview mirror. Linda's silhouette stayed at the window until the car turned the corner. 20 minutes later, she stood at the door of her new apartment, the key cool in her palm.
This door opens to something no one can steal.
Weeks passed. Emily's new routines grew roots in the small apartment. Morning coffee, physical therapy, quiet evenings alone. One evening, as dusk settled, her phone vibrated on the kitchen counter. The caller ID read Mom.
She still calls every day, still thinks persistence will change my mind.
Emily pressed the silence button and turned back to the coffee maker.
Not tonight. Not ever.
She poured a cup of black coffee and stepped out onto the narrow balcony. The sky was streaked with copper and rose, the horizon softening into dusk.
This is mine. No one can take it.
A small, genuine smile crossed her face. Not the composed smile of the courtroom, but something quieter, earned. She stood there until the last light faded, the coffee warm in her hands, the silence better than any apology. At her last checkup, the doctor cleared her for light running. The knee brace sat untouched like lauschly and trallish naturally. It's less, redneck. On her living room wall, she hung a single framed print, a watercolor of mountains at sunrise, a promise of quiet mornings. The space slowly became hers. A reading chair, a small desk, the quiet order she had fought to reclaim. Late one night, she stood at the window, watching the city lights flicker through the dark glass. Past was there, but it didn't press against her chest the way it once had. It simply existed, remote and losing power. Her phone lit up on the coffee table. Mom. Emily crossed the room, picked up the phone, and turned it over without hesitation. Then she returned to the window, her reflection calm in the dark glass. The woman staring back at her was not the same one who had sat in that leasing office months ago. She was someone who had walked through fire and refused to burn. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them. The city lights still flickered. The night was quiet. She was home.